How do you protect artificial intelligence functionality and AI innovation when traditional means of intellectual property may not get the job done? That's what I want to talk about today. My name is Marcus Harris. I'm a software and technology attorney. For over 20 years, I've drafted and negotiated a variety of technology-related agreements and litigated failed ERP implementations in courts across the country. AI coding tools and vibe coding are quietly breaking traditional rules of intellectual property. You look at United States copyright law, and I think it's still grounded very much in human authorship. And unless there is some form of human authorship, the subject matter that is being produced is not going to be protected via copyright. Patent law has some similar components, but I think the reality is, with respect to patent prosecution, it simply can't keep up with the speed and innovation of some of these new technologies in the context of AI coding and certainly vibe coding. And I think that really forces creators to look to alternative means of protection. And what jumps out primarily to me, at least, and I think it's played out in the numbers, is really more and more companies relying on trade secret protection. And I think that makes a lot of sense. What is trade secret protection and what are its benefits? The benefits are certainly immediate. There is no filing, there is no prosecution, and there's no examination by the government of an application. Trade secrets can protect things that are not trademarkable or copyrightable at all. And for AI, that is huge. Trade secrets can protect confidential algorithms and AI innovation as it happens. So how do you adapt your IP strategy, your legacy IP strategy, to a trade secret reality that addresses AI and vibe coding? I think there are certain things that you need to do, and I think you've got to make sure that you have detailed documentation. If you're utilizing AI to generate code or other assets, you want to make sure that you've got a documented paper trail. You want to make sure that you've documented prompts, that you've documented system configuration. You want to make sure you've documented human edits, reviews, and designs. You want to make sure that you've got workflows documented and that you really are taking the necessary steps to protect those processes and protect that documentation. For example, you want to make sure that you're treating this information as a trade secret. It needs to be treated confidentially. You need to put in protocols to maintain the secret nature of this information through a variety of means, whether that's password protection, whether that's behind special locked doors within your workplace. Certainly, you've got to have the right contracts in place to protect the confidentiality of that information. You're going to want to have only those employees or independent contractors that are absolutely necessary to access that information on the list to be able to access it. And you're going to want to make sure that they've got the appropriate contractual frameworks in place for protecting that information. And I think if you do all of those things, you're going to put yourself in the right course to be able to protect this dynamic as configured technology, whether it is artificial intelligence tools, whether these tools are being created, with limited human interaction, whether they are vibe coded, whatever it is, you're going to want to have a protection scheme to be able to protect those. And I think, the trade secret is a route that makes a lot more sense depending on the nature of what you're creating, how it was created, and what the level of human interaction was with that material. It certainly makes sense in that environment. And so I think you want to account for the fact that anything that you're creating through an artificial intelligence tool may have a limited protection via these traditional means of intellectual property protection, but you're still, not left out in the wind. You've still got some sort of a viable strategy for protecting that information. And as long as you take the necessary steps to treat this information confidentially, treat it as a trade secret, you're going to put yourself in a good position to be able to commercially exploit it and to prevent others from misappropriating that information. If you have any questions about any of the issues in this video, please feel free to reach out to me. I'd be happy to talk to you and point you in the right direction.